Hello friends, my name is David, and I'm your coach of the FC Popplio. We are here for week number 4 of NPL Majors. Bit of a rough start. Last week was a really close game against Abe. This week we are playing Razorwolf and his Chicago Bewears. His team will be up above my head in just a second. There. So, as you can see, he's got some scary stuff. He's got Thundy, Megaladios, Azu, Chestnut. Chestnut's a huge threat considering I have Rain. So, all in all, this matchup, much like last week, is not entirely in our favor, but we're hoping to sort of catch Razor off and kind of win with some fun sets. One thing to note about Razor is that I was a big help in drafting his team and helping him prep for his previous weeks, so it's going to be interesting. I kind of have a general sense of how he plays and kind of items and stuff that he uses, so I have that going for me, whereas I don't know how familiar he is with how I play, so especially since this isn't my team. Up first, as you can see, we have Scarf Pelican. Scarf Pelican does a lot. It outspeeds Adamant Arrow, I believe. I think that's the base speed that I'm catching. Defog, in case he wants to hazard stack me. I don't think I'm ever gonna click it though, but you know, just in case there's like 2 layers of spikes and rocks up, I might need to defog. So moving on, I want to abuse the rain since I'm setting it anyway. With my Wakanberry Keldeo. Wakanberry because this lets me have an offensive check to Thunderous as well as Latios. If rain's up, then stuff like Hydro Pump 2-hit KOs, Azumarill, it potentially 2-hit KOs Latios, I think, if it's uninvested, but of course I have to outspeed it, so Icy Wind plus Hydro should kill. Wakanberry for stuff like Thundy, like I said. I can even switch this into a Thundy if I don't think it's a Scarf set, which I'm not expecting Razor to bring Scarf Thundy. I'm expecting maybe Scarf Mienshao or just not a Scarfer. Maybe, I don't know. But Scarf Thundy is a weird one. I think it would be Z move if anything. But yeah, that's Keldeo. Just general breaking things. Up next is my Mega Swampert, the meme of the week. It is a special Mega Swampert, enough speed for Scarf Mienshao and Scarf Zoroark. Ice Beam, Surf, Sludge Wave, Rain Dance in case I get an opportunity to set it up. Sludge Wave 2-hit KOs, Non-Assault Vest, Azu and Non-Assault Vest Chestnut guaranteed. Ice Beam for just general coverage and to hit something like the what's it called, Latios and the Chestnut, if I'm not sure which he's going to go into. Surf for general stab, and because it 2-hit KOs a lot of stuff like Fortress and things like that in Rain, I have it does like 80% to a Fortress, which is crazy. Yeah, that's Swampert. It's a Rain Sweeper, and it's here to sort of lure in the biggest threats to my team and break them for me. Up next is a Calm Mind Klefki with Toxic, HP Fire, Gleam. Spadef to sort of check the Thundy. It can answer Thundy, it can answer Zoroark, it can answer Latios. All very well. HP Fire lets me catch things like the Fortress, which might want to set up on me. This can't touch the Entei, but Toxic helps with that. Toxicking big threats is going to be important. This investment means I live a +6 Jet, I believe, and then the rest into Spadef. I'm outspeeding something of value. It might be a gnome. I'm sure it's something very important and very key. Oh, it's Adamant Azu. Yeah, I outspeed Adamant Azu. So that's cool. Meaning I could Toxic on his Jet if I'm in range to die to one. Up next is Colberberry Mew, Will-O-Wisp Stealth Rocks, and Ice Beam. Defensive, this spread lets me take under 50% from Life Orb Earthquakes, I believe. I think it's even Adamant. It might be Jolly Life Orb Earthquakes. Might be Adamant though. I outspeed Adamant Mamoswine. I can Wisp it. Ice Beam to hit everything except for the Entei. I'm not expecting Entei. I have Rain plus a lot of answers to it in general on my team. So I'm not super seeing an Entei coming. And then last but not least is a Resto Chesto Bulk Up Taunt Tornadus. So I'm bringing Rain with a physical Torn and a special Mega Swampert. Torn basically has to be physical this week because Bulk Up Torn kind of fists him, as well as the fact that if this was a special Torn, then I wouldn't have a physical attacker. And not that that's a bad thing, just in case he has some sort of Assault Vest or like Calm Mind Mon, I have something to answer. But yeah, that's the team. I can go right into the battle right about now. Cool. So, as you can see, he brought the Zoroark, the Thundee, Chestnut, Megalodios, Azu, and Fortress. I'm expecting Scarf Zoroark, Z-Move, Agility, Thundurus, Fizdef, Chestnut, Calm Mind Latios, maybe Banded or Assault Vest, Azumarill, maybe Drum. I don't think Drum is super great. It might be good here. I don't know what he... I guess he has some opportunities set up, but Drum is... I don't know what the Azu would be, but I'm expecting Drum, Band, or AV. And then Fortress, of course, being a Spike Stacker, with potentially nothing to really hit my water types, aside from like Volt Switch. So we're just gonna start off the match. I forget exactly what I lead with. I believe it's Klefki, because Klefki is kind of a nice catch-all to everything. It checks the Latios, it checks the Thundurus, it checks the Zoroark, it checks Chestnut, Azu, and yeah, it checks all 6 of his Pokemon, so I think it's a very safe lead. I do lead Klefki. I decide here on turn 1 as he leads with the Latios. I know he's going to switch because, you know, it's a Fairy type and a Steel type. And I'm expecting the switch into either Chestnut to get hazards up, or Azu to sort of set up on me, or Thundee. As he goes into the Thundurus, I go for the Toxic, and it goes slightly to the left, and that's really annoying because some chip damage on this would be really nice. I decided to CM in case he's like Specs or something. That does a lot of damage. That's modest damage, and that's a really high roll for a modest damage on the second one. And I go for a Gleam to just get some general damage. I go into my Keldeo because I'm like, 2 Thunderbolts is gonna kill me, and I still need this Klefki to check things like Latios. I need it to check things like Zoroark and etc, etc, etc. So I go hard into Keldeo, banking on him not being Scarfed, which is a bit of a risky play on my end, but I'm also expecting him to... I'm just gonna make a hard read, because I have no real other play without losing a Pokemon. So in comes Keldeo on the T-Bolt. Wakam Berry activates, I take 66, and that's terrifying. I go for a Icy Wind? Yeah, I go for the Icy Wind on this. Reduces speed, and now I'm in trouble. I'm a bit on the back foot, but I couldn't really afford to do any other play. So I have to think here, alright, what can I go into? The obvious answer is like nothing. So my plan is I'm going to go into my Mew. I know it lives a +6 jet, so, and I know I outspeed any type of Azu. I can go into Mew, I can burn it, and then it'll be in range for literally everything else on my team. So I'm pretty much going to sacrifice Mew, sacrifice my hazards, hope that he is actually Drum, because I have to play around the fact that he could be Drum. Otherwise, I can go into something else on the Banded set. So in comes the Mew. As the Azu, of course, belly drums, pops the Citrus Berry, gets back some health, jets me. I take a lot of damage. I Wisp it, And here I'm like, well, there's not a lot I could do. I'm trying to figure out what I can go into as a sort of sack, but 2 jets should do a lot to my Pelipper. 2 jets would do a lot to my Swampert. And I could go Keldeo maybe, but if he expects that and goes for something else, then I don't know. So my best play, in my opinion, is just to roost up and hope that he's predicting Pelican or Keldeo to come in and goes for like a play rough or a knockoff or something. So that's my plan of action. I have no reason to sort of keep this Mew, because if it can't really come in on anything else. So he ends up Aqua Jetting again, and I lose my Mew. I go into Pert. I know that he has no real switch into Pert, so he's going to sack it. I go for the Sludge Wave, reveal the tech. It's my only real way of killing that thing. In comes Fortress, except it's not a Fortress, and I Surf it. Does 80%. That's a lot of damage. 80% to the Zoroark. I know I can go into my Klefki and maybe get a Toxic on this, or something, but he crits me. And that's just lovely. Pelican comes in. I know I can get a very free U-turn with this, and killing his Zoro in the process. Back comes in the Mega Pert. I know that he has to go into something. He ends up going into his Chestnut. I know for a fact that Pert is still kind of useful at this range, so I'm going to switch it out, go into my Torn, knowing that a Grass move should be coming. Woodhammer comes in. I take 30, and I decide, well, it's now or never. I'm going to go for game, I believe. I bulk up as he goes into his Fortress. I taunt to prevent him from getting up hazards, knowing that the hazards are coming up. He goes for a Toxic. I bulk up again as he now goes for a Volt Switch. And in hindsight, maybe just bulking up again was a better play than taunting. But this still felt... But I didn't feel like going for game was the sort of play. I didn't think he would do something like that. I figured rocks were coming up, and I didn't want to get spiked on hazard stacked because Pert was too low, and taunting was kind of nice because I stopped the Toxic, which in hindsight would have been a lot better for me if it wasn't a Toxic, if he did just Toxic me and I bulked up. But here we are. I'm at +2 as the Latios comes in. Rain stops. Here's the turn. I can rest up on this, and if he's T-Bolt max special attack, it is a roll slightly in my favor, basically a 50-50, that I live a T-Bolt. Any other move, I guess Ice Beam also counts, but he wouldn't be Ice Beam, he would be T-Bolt. Any other move, say Psychic, Dragon Pulse. I don't think he'd be Draco, because that's not a Razor type move, and he's probably CM, so he wouldn't be CM Draco. T-Bolt's a roll in my favor. Technically, it's a 50-50. And Psychic or Dragon move is guaranteed that I live from full. +2 Tornadus with an Acrobatics with no item. Guaranteed kills this Latios if it's no bulk. If it's some bulk, then even better, it's in range of Pelican. Pelican can then U-turn, and then Keldeo and or Swampert have a field day. So things are looking pretty much like a win for me, as long as I live the T-Bolt roll, because I go for a rest, pop my Chesto Berry, and I'm back at full health. I live. He goes for Psychic. I'm like, I live, and I get crit. And that steals the game. A game that I had won gets stopped by a critical hit from a Psychic. He Tailwinds, which really doesn't matter in the slightest because he lives any hit from any of my Pokemon. And to add insult to injury, he did have the T-Bolt, so instead of going for the roll that could have killed me, instead of going for the 60, 50, or 60, or whatever percent chance he could have been modest or something, instead of going for whatever chance he had of killing me, he decided to go for the 6% crit, and Showdown rewards him, and I lose 4-0 instead of winning potentially 4-0 because the worst case scenario, Fortress comes in and lives my acrobatics and then just kills me with a Volt Switch. So that's worst case scenario. But then he has to bring in something that dies to my Pelican or to my Keldeo, depending on what he chose. And yeah, just not great. Not great at all. But yeah, that's gonna be week 4. So we start off this season 0-4. 2 of our games are completely not our fault. Our Abe match was really fun and really close, and then this one I can say is not my fault, but maybe if I was expecting to get crit, I could have rested on the Fortress, and then I would have outspeed the lot. Then my Chesto would have been popped already. If I bulked up on the Toxic and then rested as he went for anything else, probably a Volt Switch too, or maybe he would set up hazards on me, that would be kind of amusing. Then I was in a great spot to just win. But with the turns that happened, I ended up losing. And yeah, that's that. So next week we are going to be playing Moxie Infernape. He's doing quite well, I believe. As of week 3, he's 3-0. So be sure to check out his game. He's doing quite well for himself. And be sure to check out Razor and everybody else in majors and minors. They're all cool people. But anyway, that'll be it for me today. I will catch you guys next week. Yeah. So, peace.